Hello, welcome to the fine edition of my so-called 8-Bit Life. I'm your host, Roberto Villegas. Joining me today, nerdcore artist, the Persona. How's it going,
What it
sir?
do?
Where's the jacket? I missed
I'm
the,
slumming it today in my crunkless shirt.
I missed the FF8 bomb.
I thought about dressing up today. I thought about dressing up like my album cover.
Let me see what the album looks like.
I meant to bring you the sealed wrapped one.
Oh
that's
my
the one
God.
that's been in my car with those like the
holy crap!
test
This
drive.
is actually there's a UPC code on this. This is legit.
Oh, thanks.
I don't mean that in a bad way.
Legitimate UPC code.
Well, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean like this is legitimately an album, but I mean more of the idea that I because I see so many different like albums from some friends and in various, and I've had so many different, like there have been artists at showcases that have had burned CDs.
Yeah,
and that's okay.
It's a thing.
There's nothing wrong with that. I have no.
You're starting out. You got to do what you got to do.
Right. And again, I have no like honestly. This was funny. So not we'll talk about this in a second, but I was reading an article on Japan Times, and it was this weird moment of reading an article that could only happen in Japan, and then also a sign of like, in a weird way, the time. So there's a idol group. I think it's like AKB48, or it's like one of the bigger existing idol groups still, and like, you tell me if this sounds like a bubble to you. In terms
bubble?
of a music bubble. So to get to so they typically will add to these idol CDs, these singles, that if you buy the single, you get you get like the proof of purchase, a serial number, whatever, that lets you vote on what song should be next released as a single.
That's really cool. I like that. That's very strange, but very cool.
So what happens is this is what gets even weirder. We're not even at the kicker points. What happens is, and I learned from a friend of mine, friend Rick also does this. People will buy like 15 copies of a single, just to get more votes to get their this.
That's like very idol, very boy band.
It's weird, but this is where the article comes in. So the article in Japan Times, like this guy got arrested because they found at the bottom of a ravine somewhere in some part of Japan, like 500 CDs.
Wow, that's good.
And he had his address in the box, and so they ended up arresting him. Like, why the fuck did you throw his out? Like, I didn't know where to put him. So apparently, like, him and his like friends or his group of people bought like 1,000 singles.
Jeez.
Like, collectively bought this. And they weren't buying it for the music, because they may have bought like one copy for themselves to hear potentially. But even like with me, I will buy a song. This is not even a bad thing. I'll buy this, I'll rip it, hear it digitally.
Yeah.
That's again,
convenience.
I
like to have the physical thing,
right?
But then I'm going to have the convenience. As well.
I'll buy a physical thing at a concert, get it signed. But at the end of the day, this is nothing more than a weird plastic husk, and that's not a bad thing about music. That's just how I consume it. I will still buy vinyls, but I have a rule of like I have to at least be able to hear this in my car, on my phone, when I'm doing something else. That. But, and so I thought about that as the idea of like I started doing the math, at about $15 a pop for a single there in Japan. Yes, it's like
that's high.
They're like like $25 is an average for a CD. It's weird. I won't go into the Japanese market. We will just leave that there and leave it there, because that's an entirely different discussion for an entirely different day. But because I looked at really quickly what an average single would cost for this band, started doing the math, and I do the multiplication. And I go like, holy shit, that's a shitload of money. And then I realized that it's like 5 people that bought 1,000 CDs. And I know that, and I talked to a friend of mine, Rick. He's like, yeah, I ended up buying like 5 or 10 one time. I was like, okay, that's fine, I guess. And he told stories of people that would like have pictures of like all the plastic CDs on a wallpaper. And usually, typically, honestly, we telling that people typically just recycle them. But my brain goes, well, hold on a second. Forget the idea of this guy buying 1,000 CDs and dumping them. That's already horrible enough that 500 were just that, because he literally had his excuse was, I didn't know what to do with them, which is like, that's fucking brilliant, because it's like, that's not gonna
true
because what are you gonna do with 500 CDs? I guess I'll just dump it in the bottom of
a ravine
or whatever. Put it in the ravine where no one will find it until snow melts.
That's very kind of ET in a weird way, but like in the inverse way of like a success.
But But so I go I go and I say like, this isn't a unique case for this, right? Isn't that like a bubble? I mean, isn't that like the definition of like a bubble where if just you lose, let's just say 10% of your audience, just sake of argument. Let's say that an idol does something wrong and something goes horribly off the rails. She gets political or whatever, whatever, doesn't go with the way the fans want it to go. And you lose 1/10 of your audience. Like, how many people are like? I guess it's the idea of.
I think it also matter like what 10% you lose. Like,
right?
Is it like your ultra committed fans?
Right.
That's almost like making me think of not trying to go too political, but like Western politics, where like you have your general election voter, then you have your primary voters, and those are like the hardcore people.
Right. And I started thinking about that and going like, that's the definition of a bubble. Like that is what a bubble is. A bubble is the idea of here is a way that we can inflate physical CD sales, which is props to all the Japanese business people that did this, because it's like that is how you make a shitload of money. You put some bullshit scheme on you make a reason for fans to buy an album, and if you can make a reason for fans to buy multiple albums, that's even better, because you don't care about necessarily like at that level. And again, that's not even at that level. You don't necessarily care about critical acclaim. You don't necessarily care about whether or not a fan is going to like X, Y, or Z. Not even a bad way. It's that you honestly are like, all right, how many physical units can we ship? Because for some reason that tracks better or whatever reason for it. It's like that's such a weird way of looking at music and realizing like that is just this bubble just waiting to burst, because as that core demographic starts to age, as things go by, it's like, when is that gonna just poof? Sorry I brought that up.
That's good. That's like the image is like sadly poetic in a way, like just dumping thousands of CDs in a ravine.
That's
or
why
something.
it was such this weird thing of like, these are like plastic husks now.
Yeah.
I don't know, like because
all their value has been taken out of them in this weird way.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Like
it was
eggshells.
Like, that's what felt weird about it, because I'm like, here I am as a person. I go like, well, I mean, do I do a similar thing? No, I buy one CD, I rip it, I listen to music, I consume it, I enjoy it, I get it signed. If anything,
I might display it, keep it as a memento.
At the most, I have many CDs on display. I have a few framed in the background there, and there's a couple I'm working at framed more. And so I have a way of doing the music, and so I consume it my way, and I celebrate and everything else. But I start thinking of just looking at what CD it's signed. It's for those who can see it off screen, I haven't put it up yet. It's Random's 8-bit version of his first album, The Call. I got him this. He'd sold the signed copy, and I ended up buying it. I've had Raheem sign about a billion things now, and it becomes the point now where whenever he's in town, it's whenever he has time and we're sitting down and enjoying it, it's like, all right, cool, let's get this, let's do this, let's do the signing thing and shirt up, I jokingly say let's shirt up all the signatures, because again, I have like what RNDM, I have at least, I take back, I was in Japan and I was telling actually no, it was this past Classic Game Fest, I was telling Kyle this, K Murdoch, like I've bought Forever Famicom at least 3 times over in various forms, like in CD and cassette tape and in digital, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just it's funny thinking about this stuff. Let's actually start talking about you, Persona.
You just reminded me to make a note to buy a golden Sharpie for the night of.
You see, that's one thing I always have.
Yeah, it's a CD release. I better be able to sign some copies.
I always come prepared with like 80 different Sharpies, to the point where I think at Classic Game Fest I linked it everyone like, here, borrow a Sharpie, because it was just like, people,
well, you're the real hero.
Well, because I make sure to bring it, because
Roberto, MVP.
Well, because I know that nobody has them, and I'm like, just because I've had a point where like, well, I don't have here you go, and I was like, cool, and it all got signed. But let's start talking about the album. So I guess we could say, like, if you were to say lead song, would it be Hipster Girl now because of the video?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I want to do a couple videos, but yeah, that's the lead song. That's the one that I think is most popular.
I love this cover. That's
thank you.
Such. I know you guys can't see it. I'll go close to the camera really quick. If not, I'll cut a picture of it in here. But it's weirdly, I guess we could call it geeky Bee Gees. I don't know.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I don't know if that's the term, because like you've got you've got kind of like half of, okay, I gotta ask so many questions. Why the mirror half skull.
I can't remember where it came from, but like that is like very much my aesthetic at this moment on this tour. Is
perfect.
I'm putting disco chips on everything. Is like that's the idea.
No, it's very, because I see it and I'm like because I'll be honest, not even a bad way. Like if I saw this guy at a club, I may look at him strange, not in a bad way, just like okay, well that guy's got his is that obviously it's a performer, so it's your persona and things like that. But it's so let's kind of dig in. I've only heard Hip Circle because the album doesn't come out officially until
the fourth. When Crunk Witch and Oh My show up and DJ Rockman
and a friend of the show and fan of the show, Vincent Banks, and actually everybody there. I've had everybody but Oh My on the show. I need to get
to-do list.
Yeah, I'll talk later on next time I get a chance. So because you had the comic book one, and we had chatted about that and all the different lives stuff like that, and I think when we were talking, you had talked about how like that kind of came about while you were working in, I think it was like an oil, like some type of rig out in the middle of
one track was I wrote on an oil rig, and so the comic related to that song was about my experiences out there.
And then kind of going through that and how long it takes. So I guess let's start kind of with this. What was your inspiration for, I guess, the next one, beyond the fact of like I gotta make more music, I gotta put some stuff out, and that
the ultimate inspiration,
right? The ultimate inspiration.
Or
like, I want to
goal.
eventually get paid and release some new stuff and have more things to perform. But like, when did you start began working on your new album?
So I've been working on this one, honestly, on and off for like 6 years, and I've just thrown a lot of stuff aside, and this is sort of slimming it down, cutting the fat, getting rid of the chaff, however you want to say it, to the music that I've most liked writing and performing over the past 6 years.
Okay.
And yeah, I think it's
like
it's benefited from like the long time cooking, I think.
Like when you say long time cooking, we talking like a couple years?
Yeah, like 2011. Well, I guess
wow.
The oldest song on here, I think the oldest song on here is actually from 2007. That's very old. It was one of the first songs I wrote. That's Rock the Mic, the last song.
Interesting.
And that was literally the second song I ever wrote after I picked up the synthesizer again after putting it down in undergrad.
Wow, that is.
And it went through like a major retool because I wasn't very good. Shocking.
Well, I mean,
kind of on point.
Well, because I've talked with and you're not the first artist to ever say that. And for those who've never done anything, ever created anything, that's not an atypical thing for the creative process.
Yeah.
Kill your darlings, as they say, or be willing to, where you go, you hear something, this could be better, or you come back years later and you're like, ugh, let me try that again.
Yeah.
You'll hear like I was talking with I have had like various artists who told me like they've heard a song back that they were gonna release for a new album, but they recorded that like song like years ago, and he's like, that doesn't sound right. Let me try taking another stab at that same track because I've now become a better performer. I now know how to do things better, and I can imagine since 2007 to now, you've had a lot of not just life experience just because of that, but just experience performing and singing and how you want to present yourself. You're like, okay. Like, I'm assuming that you didn't use the first version of that 2007 song.
Yeah, that one went really back in the incinerator. Actually, I pulled out my old laptop from undergrad, which is where like the demo was, because I was like, I'm just gonna put it on and see what it's like. Maybe I'll put the demo online just as like a preview. I was like, no one can ever hear this. I need to set fire to this laptop.
No, none shall ever see this. Like, yeah, because I can imagine just
the lyrics were also completely redone as well. So like, only a couple of core things made it, and they were like, I had the good bass ideas for the hook, musically speaking, but the connective tissue, the lyrics, those just were not there at all.
No, and again, it's you looking back 7 years, not even 7, 10 years, 10 years in the past, and hearing yourself then. And flash forward 10 years now, and you've not only performed more on your own, you've performed with other friends, you've seen other artists, you've got an idea of like, this is the landscape I'm entering in. And again, even yourself, you're like, God, that's what I sounded like back at, because I can imagine when you heard that, you're like, that's what I sounded like back in 2007?
I thought it was okay back then. I was wrong.
No, and that's the point. That's the idea, is that you're not supposed to, like, if you listen to it in 2007 now, and thought or listen to that song now that you'd made and never released in 2007, and you went like, yeah, that sounds okay. I was pretty good back. I was good back then. Or it's like, wow, that sounds like I imagine the fear would have been, wow, that sounds really, really good. What do I sound like now?
Yeah, have I not grown at all?
Exactly, because again, and that had to at least be somewhat reassuring that you heard that and said, oh God, this is garbage. Oh wow, I've gotten better.
Yeah,
it's okay. So obviously that was the first track. I put that in quotation marks because. So when did you start getting the rest of stuff going? Just like when did you start revisiting all this to say, all right, now it's time to do this?
Yeah, so 2011 is when, I first started getting serious air quotes about music in 2009-ish.
Okay.
I want to say maybe 2010. And then, no, I lied. It's 2014 that this album really started to turn up.
That's fine.
That's when I started to because I've been playing these songs. Some of these songs were in the rotation, like Superstar had been in the rotation for a while. But that's when I wrote new stuff and started revisiting old stuff in earnest.
Okay, that makes sense because usually I mean any creative work can go fast or slow depending, but usually I've heard albums take about 3 or so years.
Yeah.
We've had many musicians on before, and in fact last week we talked about this with another gentleman. Things in music aren't always even about creating the song. Like you may have had like when we have a term in software, and you probably know it. Things going, I mean, because it's different in music. Because when things go gold in music, that means they've sold a shitload. Whenever they've had a gold master back in the days of if you remember the days of CDs,
back in the day,
back in the days when you bought video games on discs as opposed to spinning up Steam or whatever the hell eShop you have. They used to have what's called the gold master. So basically, what they would have is sort of this master CD that was on a gold printed gold version of it that they would use to replicate all the pits and shit like that. And so usually whenever you got your software done, you shipped it off, it went gold, and that would then start getting processed to make more copies, and then we all buy it, and yay, we get to play on a real tournament. But when it even that's patch, so for a CD to go gold, so to speak, in that regard, or an album, it's not just creating songs. I assume you got this mastered to some capacity, mixed, and everything else like that. So you started working in 2014, or started in earnest, really buckling down and whatnot. What was the song that came next then? When? I guess my question is, when did if I were to look back, especially because I heard Hipster Girl recently, I saw.
Well, I would say all of them were written by 2014.
Okay.
Or in a preliminary stage, they just needed to be cleaned up, and some of them were, all of the skeleton was there.
Okay.
But it was just cleaning things up and turning them into real songs, more or less.
So what's the, if I were to ask, especially a theme, and I'm going in a lot of blind because it's I'm excited.
Well, as you might have gathered from the disco chips.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I'm like I said, it's weirdly Bee Gees, and I like
that's what I was going for.
Right,
weirdly Bee Gees.
I like it a lot. It feels. It almost feels like this, almost like Greek writing. It feels like 70s. And
I want to give a shout out to the people that helped me work on the art.
Everything looks really. I mean, again, it's very much you, and I'm not even gonna say it in a bad way, and I'm saying it in a good way. It's very much you. I mean, you're wearing golden sneaker kind of things.
Graphic design, the lettering, the use of the color. That's Ted Anderson, who you've previously
Oh
interviewed.
shit! Yeah. Oh damn! Yeah, I know Ted Anderson.
Yeah, he is super good, and the people who are listening aren't going to be able to see, but his use of color on the album was tremendous because I knew what I wanted to do photography speaking. I knew I wanted to have the Bee Gees cover on the front.
Saturday Night Fever and how can I be my version of Travolta? And I mean that in a good way. I don't mean that in any bad way type thing.
And so I knew there's going to be gold and there's going to be white. Right. That's very disco.
Exactly.
And then Ted, and maybe we can put this in the show notes or something, a picture. There's just a little bit of green in my glasses in the back.
Holy shit.
And that's the color he ended up pulling all the other places in the album.
Well, that's what I like a lot is that there's this...
But he pulls this... It's just the right color to pull. And
because I like it's this kind of weird blue sort of color.
Yeah, weird blue, green, teal,
but it works
something.
So well. I mean, that's why we talk about...
It's almost like he does that for a living.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about music and while I am imagine the substance would be great. And in general, not even going to ask about that. But
Well, it's style over substance, so don't assume.
I assume that I'm going to get Persona, and Persona is a very there's a very
quantity.
unique thing to a Persona show that if you've never been to a Persona show that you don't understand. I usually say this for certain artists, and I'll always say as a joke, you're not prepared unless you've gone to a show. Like I'll say like, oh, It's your first show, you're not ready. And that's my way of saying be ready for anything, because anything can go down. And a Persona show, it's very crazy. There's lights. We're talking about in the pre-show. There's lights, projectors, computers, music. I think my first show I saw of yours, I don't remember if I got dragged on stage or not, because you did the
I think I may have dragged you on for my encore.
It might have been the encore, because it was specifically Ninja Rap covered by the amazing.
It was either your first or second show.
Right, first or second show, I got dragged on stage because again, you're just doing cover Ninja Rap, so it's it's like lyric, all these sort of things. If you've ever heard the Vanilla Ice song from, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze, which is not looking back,
not the strongest in the series.
You would think,
but not the worst by far.
You would think, but then you forgot those were 3.
Yeah,
because going into 2 as a kid, I'm like, this had to be no. Then they went back in time because. Reasons. Not even like they wanted, like, no, they just went back in time because they wanted to do it. They I almost want to believe that like that came out because Last Samurai did really well that year.
Was that the year?
I don't know. I hope so, because there's no other reason why to go back into feudal Japan. There was no other reason to bring in the Turtles into feudal Japan and have like a white guy enemy.
Yeah.
There was no other reason.
Man, I really want to I've been wanting to revisit that for a while because it sounds so strange in retrospect.
It is.
And I'm sure as a kid I ate it up.
Because I've tried to watch it again, and it's like, again, there's these weird moments in there that you watch back because you realize in that movie that they've gone back in time because 3 random monks had like prayed to have, or 4 random monks, whatever had prayed to like,
heroes or something,
to have our heroes, and they swapped with them, and so it's the feudal Japan past storyline where it's save our little town in whatever part of Japan. On the flip side, it is this like fish out of water show with the like story with like Casey Jones like policing these 4 monks, and it's like like that's sort of like, oh look, it's the comic relief because they don't know what the heck a pizza is, because it's not like it's the 90s where it's like here's cell phones, look TV, like it's all these sort of very shticky kind of things, and you realize like that's the other plot. And then there's like, I think there's like even like a love story thrown in there, and like some.
That's
other
what I remember being like really weird and
there's
out
a lot
of
of
place.
weird shit, because then you don't realize that soundtrack. If you've ever bought the soundtrack, because I have the soundtrack, I had the soundtrack as a kid, and that was my introduction to like Tarzan Boy and was it Rockin' Over the Melody, Rolling Under the Beat? I forget who who did that song. What did get into the group? Forget the group's name. It's a weird CD. It's a weird mix of like that, and like on there's also Turtle Power from the first one. The rap song.
Naturally.
But it's a very weird collection of music, because you hear it. It's like I don't even think half of this was in the movie, and if it was, I don't even remember where. Because you hear it, and it's like, why is it Rocking Over the Melody, Rolling Under the Beat? And it's like why is this on there? What does this have to do with feudal Japan? Where does this, why does Tarzan Boy here? What does this have to do with Turtles going back in time?
I think that has like everything has the same level of disjunction in that whole philosophy. It's like a gumbo of a movie.
Unlike this album, because like kind of leading back to what I was trying to say and what I was trying to go on is that those sort of CDs themselves, especially when you look at the covers, like it's just like picture whatever this. This itself is like a work of art.
Oh, thank you.
Well, because it's that thing that I see, I go, okay, this artist has something. Like when you presented me with this, I'm like, because I know
I was very surprised at like how positive the reaction was.
Well,
I was
that's
not prepared for
well,
that
that's why
level
when
of
you handed
positive
it, I was like,
reaction.
holy shit, this looks like I jokingly said it looks like a real CD. I didn't mean like, oh, I mean like, no, this is something that should be at Waterloo and like put there, and it's like, huh, what the hell is this? You know, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
It's like, have you guys played this yet? Yeah, or it's like, no, we don't. That's interesting because you look at it and it looks like an album cover. And I know that's like such a weird way of saying it looks like that, but if you think about, you know, this scene of nerdcore, you know, and this is not even a bad thing, of that some artists will ape on borrowing a very recognizable video game trope. Even looking at just, you know, not to say anything bad about The Call, but even that looks very much reminiscent of like Ninja Gaiden, and it looks very much like that cover. Not a bad cover; it's a great cover, and it works for that. But like you see this, and you know, we'll put a link in. We'll put a better picture in the video and a link to show notes, kind of thing like that. But it's like it screams, "Who the hell is this guy?" Like if I didn't know who you were and I wasn't aware of your music, I'd see this and go like, huh, that's a kind of cool cover. Okay, well, he's got a style going on, and then you flip it open, and it's like, oh, you know,
There's some ass.
right. But again, it's
golden ass, though.
right. But it's very much it's eye catching but simple, and I know we're like talking about cover design now, and this is how we're looking at music, but like at the end when it comes, you know, even if you do a performance at a show, people are going to buy your music. You want them to grab a CD and go like, huh.
That pops.
Right, and it pops. And it's simple though. It's simple in its way of popping. And I was going to point out, like,
I mean, that kind of goes to, I don't know if we talked about this last time, like sort of my underlying persona philosophies. And one of them is there's more to the music than the music.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, a big part where the comic came from. And then the fact that we got, you know, that you're really interested in talking about the album design is right up my alley on that.
Even the color scheme is like we were talking about that earlier, but like that blue,
that's all Ted though.
That's such
it's really good.
I mean, I'll put it this way: you got lucky in a good way in that we know people that are. I've learned that, you know, in this weird scene we call nerdcore here in Austin, like it's just filled with hyper talented people. Because I see this and I go, yeah, this is an album cover. This is the kind of thing that should be at a Tower Records. You know, I should go to. This is the kind of thing. And we'll get back to talking about the music in a second. That should be like an end cap. Like this should be an end cap kind of thing where you go there, you see like the giant, you know, 2D version of like the giant paper version.
The cutout of me.
Exactly, the cutout of you, just like buy my album. I don't even know what that.
Buy my book.
Right, exactly, and it's
only if they put actual disco chips on the.
But that's the thing is like that's the kind of, and I think that's when I say. Why?
Oh man, like I'm making another note to myself.
It's like I gotta. All right, if ever I don't know why I started thinking about this. I started thinking about this right now. It's one of my favorite things. I'm certain you've seen the movie. What is it? Not Tower Records. Empire Records.
Oh yeah,
I think every music person is like required to see that, and much like every, you know, 90s kid who's kind of into hacking was required to see Hackers. As horrible movie that it was, amazing soundtrack though. But I was thinking of what was the guy's name? The washed up music guy. I'm not saying that you're that guy, but was it Rex something like that? But
I'm getting a wire cross with High Fidelity right now.
I mean, that's another one. It's really hard. But I remember like when he came to do his signing, he had like the cutout version of him like right next to it. Like
that's great,
which is always great. I love that. But yeah, I want to see a life size cutout of the persona just like right there, like, you know, only $14.99, you know, ready to buy. But let's go back. So obviously you if you were to say kind of, so the theme is kind of disco because, you know, looking at some of the songs or favorite songs, Hipster Girl, which is the music video.
The particular phrase that I'm enjoying using with the album is ersatz disco.
Okay.
Which I just like the word ersatz in front of disco a lot.
Because everyone has every word should have disco.
Yeah, disco's a great word.
Disco's such a weird genre in that, but like I'm very intrigued. All right, let's start digging into the music video because as sort of a, you know, promotional. You know, and again, music. we're in an era now where I think music videos are coming back,
I totally agree.
but not
Yeah.
in the way that you think. Like, I
Mhm.
don't think, like, I say that we're in an era where music videos coming back is because we're now in an era where it's a heck of a whole lot easier to put video
Exactly.
on places.
Yeah.
Whether it be YouTube, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Twitter, all that kind of stuff.
It's kind of like the explosion, I guess, starting a decade ago or so, with the ability to make music independently and release it independently.
Yes.
And video is starting to catch up.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of putting it because like that's absolutely right because like now
Like previously, YouTube's been around for a little while, but the ability to make it on your own was still very
the
challenging.
equipment's
'cause
gotten
the
way
equipment-
cheaper.
yeah.
You're able to execute make a professional looking video that because I've seen but prior to the interview today I watched the Hipster Girl video. I was like, okay, let me actually find it because I had meant to check it out prior. I was like, let me check it out right now, and I was like, wow, this is a. I mean, yeah, I recognize the Dozen Street and I recognize where the locations are. But wow, this is a solid video. This is a well shot one. It's well lit. Everything, all these sort of things. Songs already catchy. All these things are working for this music. I'm like, this is a legit video. And it
Shout out to John Knudsen and Christopher Lundberg. I hope I pronounced their
How long
names
was
properly.
the shoot for that? Like
1 day.
wow,
It was like 6 hours.
wow.
And then
it's not bad.
there are some outside shots at the beginning of the video that sort of established the locale.
Right.
Those were done over an hour, like at the end of the day. So
Yeah,
like, that's an
not-
extra hour.
That's not so bad. But
Yeah.
that's 6 hours. That's not.
Yeah, it was like it was a little mini marathon for me as the director, producer, and also in some of the scenes. Like you're gonna see some videos in the future that are not gonna have as much of me in it if I'm directing it.
No, and that's fair. It's a music video.
It was fun though. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I bet because again, the song is cool because it's for those who are curious what the song's about. It's the video
Your
itself.
typical
is set up-
Austinites.
Yeah, it's very
in a
much
way.
like this like about this girl who I guess you're enamored with or the singer is enamored with, and for lack of better words, she is a hipster, and obviously like, hey, hipster girl, of course, like I mean like to the point where you hear it and it's like it's obscene, like it's when you say hipster, I mean like you hear it like
All of it.
oh that kind of girl, oh that kind of person, okay. And if you've ever kind of grown, been in a town, especially Austin, which is Austin's a weird town in that. There's a joke I have during South by, and I tell my friends this. I only tell very select friends this because they only select friends get the joke. But it's a game you can play during South by Music called Hipster or Hobo.
Oh yeah.
And it's the idea of whether you because I've been in line. I was in line for Japan Night, and some guy came by. I could have sworn he was homeless, but I know he's a hipster, and he was telling me about. Like some other thing he was going to. I couldn't even tell you what, who, why, what genre. He didn't even go into genre or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He just started saying artist names. And I mean, again, South by, you're going to hear a lot of artist names you've never heard about, and that's totally cool. That's awesome.
Yep, that's
great.
what's up with that.
But like, I'm in line for another concert, and here he is telling like, yeah, man, what do you like? Like, I don't was even like promoting anything. I was just kind of in line, just hanging around or something. And he's telling me about like this other show that he's gonna go to, and he didn't even say where. He just said like the artist, and the artist sounded like I couldn't even tell you the name of the artist.
Mhm.
I couldn't even tell you, but it's that one thing. I was just like when you hear somebody that's like I say like stereotypical X.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are people who are hipsters, or like again, everyone. If you're into whatever you're into. Keep being into what you're into. Like, it's not me judging. But when you hear that guy that's like, oh, that's where the stereotype comes from.
Yeah.
Like, that's the subject of this song.
Yeah.
Was that your last song of the album? Was that your first? Like, obviously it was the first one.
You mean writing wise?
I guess I'm curious.
Actually, now that you mention it, it's either the next to last or the last song I wrote for the album.
Interesting.
In terms of like, getting the bare bones skeleton there, like I said.
That's interesting. I mean, again, it's because it's
the other one was.
It's a very because it's a very catchy song. Like it's definitely the kind of song you'd want to have a single for. Like it pops. It has all the things that a quote unquote lead song should have. It's the song that I know that I could present to some friends of mine who may have never heard you and say, here's the persona. It's like, Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's good. That
Yeah.
has that in the video. It's very stylistic. It's basically set as a sort of a speed dating session happening, and it's a very simple shot kind of thing, but it's a lot of these kind of very strange juxtapositions where it's like you have businesswoman, guy in animal suit, definitely sex dominatrix person, and it's like, and they're all being paired up, as their own characters in this speed dating thing. Because even like some of the outtakes at the end, it's like the two business people like hook up and they're like, all right, I got 15 minutes. I could squeeze in 15 minutes to do this. Like, I got 15 minutes free. All right, let's make out. And it's just like very quickly, and it's like, cut, whatever. But it's like
they were so good. That was like such a good performance on their part.
It was great, but it's a cool video. I mean, it makes sense for the song because it's the idea of like, you've met this girl and she's vegan and she's this. She has a violent, like all the things
I was trying to go with like the song is very much about a stereotype.
Yeah.
Here's even more stereotypes is what I was going for.
Yeah, because like even at point like she sings and who's the female vocalist on
Alice in Space.
Okay.
And she's also in the video.
Oh, okay.
Same person. And she's been out traveling the world recently. She was an Austin singer-songwriter for a long time.
I'd like to say I've heard of her, but I don't think I've ever seen her perform.
She's come out with something recently, but I think she might be taking a break with music just because I haven't seen her post anything for a while.
Okay.
But
that's fair.
Yeah.
And again, everyone takes a break, whatever. But the name sounds familiar. I'll put it that way. But like even she comes in and how like this is a song written. I asked this guy to write a song about me, and it's just like. Like she or it's like she's working on 80 billion projects, but hasn't finished any. Like all these sort of things that you would associate with the stereotype. And I love that that's like it feels kind of jokey in that regard, and that's the point of it. But it's one of those songs like this is the persona. This is exactly what it is, and I'm now like.
I will say like that was probably one of the dominant like in changing my aesthetic. Because, like I said, it was one of the last songs I wrote for the album, and the other tracks, they're, one of the songs is another disco song. I actually might be lying; that might have been the last one.
It's okay.
But like, just moving towards the disco element, Hipster Girl is less disco than it is French house, and maybe I'm one of the few people that cares about the distinction.
No, it's fine.
But
well, because
if you know Stardust, the music sounds better with you. Like that was like the template for Hipster Girl.
Okay.
Like that very airy synth it's got going on. And if you listen to Hipster Girl, it's got like this weird little synth sound at the end of every measure. Do-do-do-do-do. Like that was a placeholder. I was supposed to go in like with a little guitar, do some like Prince action or some Chic. And I was like, that sounds pretty good. I'm just going to leave it.
Well, because I think that's what's interesting about the modern approach to disco. And I say the modern approach, meaning there's really no...
house, post-house kind of
stuff.
Right,
all the stuff, because you think of disco as the format that played at the club, it is very much the music of that era of that time. Like you could do, like if you were to do disco now, like you have to do, with a synth. Like I think the closer you get to modern disco that is of that era is Random Access Memories, the only is Daft Punk, and that's as close as you get, and even that is like they got there because they had already sampled every other disco vinyl that they could in Discovery, and they're like, we have to make our own now. We've sampled it all, and you realize that when they started hiring all these, like, oh, you worked on the Chic, you worked on this and that. But if you do it now, and I think that's why I was like, this is cool. This is very much that. It does. Hipster Girl sounds like disco. In that is what plays the clubs now. It's sort of this very synthy, very house kind of stuff like that. And I go no, and this is like, but it has that vibe of like this song that for lack of better words, can be spinning, can play at a club, at while you're drinking, taking a drink, doing a dance, whatever, all those sort of things you do at a club. I said I don't really go to clubs, but it still has that kind of geeky feel. It still has that, very much an inside thing, because it is, if you listen to the beat, like, oh, it has a good beat, I can dance to it. But then you start listening to the lyrics, like, oh, he's describing that, like you know exactly who he's describing, and it's like, oh, and I like, and if that's your lead track, I'm already I'm realized like we're almost at the hour mark.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's already gonna be 7:53. we've been casting for a while, which is great. I'm already excited for this damn album, and I'm kind of excited that I have it now, and I'm able to see it now, and consume it because when you had said when I had saw the post of like, hey, I'm having a new album come out, because it was like right around the time that Crunkwitch was working on their new album, and I'm like,
yeah, it was like a very interesting coincidence that we're playing together, because I was literally just sent the email to Dozen Street. I was like, hey, do you have something available for like the 18th of November? It was like the target date I was planning on. And then like literally within minutes, Crunkwitch was like, hey, what are you doing on the 4th? Well, I can make some changes to my plans.
Yeah, because like that is
because they were on like my mental list.
Oh yeah, no, that's why they are on, like, there are artists that I say are in your face in a good way. You're one of them.
I feel that kinship. Yeah,
Crunkwitch is one.
And they also have lights at their live show.
Right,
which is
exactly. They are very much you can hear their music and it's cool. But going to performances is an entirely different thing. Much like with you, your music's cool and I enjoy it. But going to a Persona show is in your face. It's there. It's raw. It's whatever you want it to be. I'm really curious, and I got to ask now. Is this a makeup effect, or do you have something made?
Those are, and I'm going to give a shout out to the other two people that worked on the album, which are Cody Smith and Megan McMahon. She's the photographer. She also did the color correction on the video.
I gotcha.
She did a great job because she intentionally made it look kind of like an Instagram filter.
Right.
Which is perfect for the hipster
Yeah,
girl.
yeah, no, it worked out perfectly.
Anyway, so Cody used to work at House of Torment. I know him through PWR.
Okay.
So he has like makeup experience. And I reached out to him, like, was like, hey, if I want to make my head look like a disco ball, how do I do that? He's like, oh, that's easy. And it is easy, actually. You put Prozate on my head and painstakingly put disco chips on my head for 30 minutes or so.
Because my question is, and this is my question, and maybe I'm going to force you to write another note. Are you going to have something like this at the show?
Oh yeah. Like that's a long-term plan. My big regret on the album is that so like I planned the photo shoot for months. Like I had the idea of what I wanted to do. I had everything lined up.
I so hope you have like 80 billion pictures to like. I so hope you have like.
We're gonna have like some outtake pictures go up shortly too.
That's what I was saying. Like I hope you have. I hope you have
really
some saved, because if nothing more for your, because like this is the kind of this is the kind of thing that when it comes to like this kind of photo shoot, and it's weird because it's I say it's perfect because it's the kind of thing that whenever, let's say, a paper comes to you and says like, or let's say for example that you just need to put out a press release or something like that, or press kit, that kind of bullshit thing. That's the kind of image that goes in the press kit. Yeah, because that says everything I need to know about visually about the persona, and that's such a
disco and silly, which is kind of
that's what I'm saying.
For.
It's one of those things. When I look at this damn cover, I'm like, fuck, that's a damn good cover, and I'm excited now because I've heard this stuff. Now I'm like, I know the music's gonna be good because I'm well aware of your songs. I'm not worried about that. But when I still think about, I always wonder, how is it that I'm going to introduce friends or people who I know are going to like music? And sometimes, as hard as it sounds, sometimes you judge a thing by its cover.
Yeah,
whether or not you it's fair or not doesn't matter. It's just you just do it. It just happens. It just does. Sorry, that's the nature of the business. You want to make sure someone goes, huh. Looks at it at least, because they look at it, they go, well, it's not, okay, that's weird. At least they remember the name. They even though they don't buy it, they go like, the persona. Let me look him up on the phone.
Yeah.
Let me hear a sample. Oh, okay. Because even if he hears on Spotify, or something like that, yes, it's not as much money and everything else like that, but he goes, well, that's kind of catchy. Oh, he's playing tonight. I don't think do a five.
Yeah.
You put all the things together. This is how music gets. Or you go to YouTube, you're like, oh, that's a funny video. Yeah, let me pick up the CD you want. Yeah, it's like, at $10. There you go. Here's $10. Pick it up, walk off. All because you saw a cover that looked cool. Because if you think of like, if you think of music and all, especially
You're bringing me back to like the CD days when I would go to like the discount bins. I'm
that's
like,
the
I'm just gonna
point.
buy every one thing that looks cool.
That's the point, because
Yeah.
you look at unless if you were a kid growing like me in the suburbs, it wasn't like I saw. It wasn't like I knew who the fuck Nirvana was.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like I may have heard maybe Smells Like Teen Spirit, but it's like you see that cover of Nevermind, and it's like, what's this baby doing swimming, and that kind of thing. Like those are there are covers that we talk about still. Like we still talk about Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band pick photo because this giant photo collage. People still talk about that album cover, and it's one of those things where you look at like, oh yeah, that's the Beatles, or even like, oh yeah, that's this, and these sort of things. And I look at that cover and I realize I'm stressing over a cover. That's because I haven't heard all the music yet, and I can't say my favorite track yet. I kind of have a weird way of consuming music. It takes me time. It's a legit album cover, and I keep saying that, and I mean that with everything.
On the subject of tracks, the one I want to get your opinion on is track 1 at some point.
I will. Like I said, like
in fact, I guess we don't have a situation where we can set up to stream it right now, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, sadly we can't. But I will.
I should have thought about.
I'll definitely. It's okay. It's cool because I'm definitely gonna like when this interview's over, when we're all done recording tonight. What's gonna happen is I'm gonna rip the CD. I'm gonna put it on my iTunes collection. I'm gonna realize that I'm gonna have to rename all the tracks because it's probably not on iTunes yet. I guess I should ask, where do you is this just be physical release, or is it gonna see it everywhere on the planet?
It's gonna have a digital distribution, which will start on October 31st, because that's when I thought the music video was gonna drop.
Oh,
which is probably for the best, anyways, because competing with Halloween's that's a big sell. Yeah. But that's when Grace Notes and all that stuff should automatically take care of things.
That's so cool because like it's I'm excited to hear it. I'm excited that I have an early copy, in a hyper early copy, because
that's my personal copy.
Which is I'm thankful for this. Thank you so much, by the way. And I'll probably still buy a copy to come that.
No, don't.
Let's see who gets thanked. Let's see let's see what I see any names. I know I don't care if I'm not thanked, but DJ Rockman's on there. Let's see. Wow, everyone's on there. I know at least 5 of these people. That's cool. I realize I'm looking at this now, but I'm excited for you to release new music, first and foremost, because you're my friend. I'm excited as a fan because your music's cool. And I'm excited that I know that if I were to see it, not knowing who you are, if I wasn't aware of what the persona was or anything in that regard and what the music stood for, just seeing this was all I needed to know. And it's that kind of thing, like I said as a joke, but I mean it seriously, like, it is the thing you put on a website. It is the photo shoot you put there, because this is all. While the music is something you should hear and consume and everything else and enjoy and like and that, if I were just going cold, and I saw this, this cover, this guy, I'm like, okay, I think I have this guy's number, in that I think I know what I'm going to get, and then I'll flip the track and I'll look at the track numbers. I go, okay, I think I know this guy's real number. I think I understand this guy. I'm gonna go pick this up, because this is the kind of nerdcore. Like, nerdcore is this genre that
ever expanding, ever growing.
Yeah, and it's fun to be a part of this, like in the way that I am, and that I have now friends who are musicians. I have part of the NPC is sort of this weird. I jokingly call myself a support unit, because I don't make music, and I'm like I'm just a fucking podcaster. But it's cool to be part of this genre and just see stuff like this next to stuff like that over there, next to stuff behind me, and to go, like, this is all part of this. Like I am honestly, like, I almost wish I could have heard this before the interview, because I would have had a lot more substance. So I'm definitely gonna get you, once the CD drops again, and that, maybe a little bit of time after, I'm definitely gonna get you back on, and we'll kind of chit chat about a little bit more in depth on.
Well, we might. The album. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm planning on doing music videos, so we could also like time it around.
Yeah, when a new music video drops, we'll get you back on, because again, I hearing Hipster Girl already and going like, okay, I'm already excited, because this is like, again, there are ways I consume music. I know how I'm going to consume this, just because I know me. I'm probably going to go, probably going to play a song again, not because I want to necessarily not hear everything else. It's because I know how I meander a lot. I don't, there's only so many, and don't take this in any bad way. There's only so many albums now that follow the idea of being like. There's only so many albums like Dark Side of the Moon in that this was designed to be heard straight on through.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. It's just that was how the vinyl worked. That's how the record spun.
Yeah, that album is my album is like very conspicuously not designed around that.
Right, exactly.
We're not in that era. And like
we're not in that era anymore. We're not in the era of the album, and that's not even a bad thing. That's just the nature of things.
Yeah, it is.
So because of that, I tend to meander. I tend to go and say, all right, well, hear this track next. Let me skip back here. Let me go back here. That kind of thing. But I'm excited to hear. Like I do want to hear the first song. I'm excited to hear everything on here because again, it's just like I'm just excited and that's all I'm gonna say right now. I'm still laughing at this. God damn it. This is solid, dude. Persona. Let's say
Roberto.
people want to actually buy all this, even though they see the cover and they want to pick it up because the beauty part about music is you don't have to be physically here to grab a CD. You can get it where can people find the album is going to be called is the Persona Style Over Substance and it's available. Let's see, it's going to be. Where is it not going to be? Let's that might be the easier thing. Where can I not find your album?
So it probably not will be general distribution in stores.
Okay. So you probably won't find it at your local Target or your Walmart. Although that would be kind of funny. If
I'm going to try to get it at the Waterloo here in town because they do that.
I think that'd be kind of cool. I think you could easily do that. I'm certain you could talk with them. And
it should be at basically every meaningful online distribution
iTunes,
source.
Amazon.
Yeah, iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, Google Play, all those. I'm going to sell it through physical copies through Bandcamp and through my website.
That's a good idea. That's.
I might look at a couple others, but those are like those
are the big
people
ones.
Who want to buy physical stuff. They go to the band's page.
Exactly.
Or
You go to Bandcamp. You get a digital copy of that one. It's funny because I'm so used to buying music on Bandcamp now, but that's just because all the nerdcore stuff is on there. But it's cool. But yeah, either way, you'll be able to consume this. No matter where you are in the world, you should be able to do this. Listen to the new album. It drops digitally October 31st. You said, right?
Yes.
So 31st, it'll drop digitally, or physical, or Bandcamp as well. And if you happen to be in the Austin area on November 4th,
yes.
At what time? 6, 7?
I think the show formally starts at 9.
9. Okay.
Doors at 8. We promise we're starting on time. I know y'all think it's gonna be rock time. It's not. We're starting on time.
You're starting
because we ran into that last album release. We're starting on time, buddies.
Yeah, because there's on time, there's rock time, and then there's there's people. I mean, because it's at the Dozen Street there. I forget where physically it is in Austin.
12th and Chacon.
12th and Chacon, right there. It's there. There's.
I think it's 1808 Chacon.
Yeah, it's a really cool venue.
Yeah. It's my favorite dive bar.
There's a dive bar. There's like food trucks on the other side. So if you want to grab some food, you grab some food. Either way, come by the show because it's DJ Rockman, it's Crunkwitch, it's going to be a good time. And Oh My as well. Yeah. All three. Very, very talented people.
I'm really excited.
Beside the Persona, if you want your nerdcore crazy night, head over to the Dozen Street show at 9 p.m. on November 4th. If you happen to be in Austin, and if you're not in the Austin area, like I said, 31st, go buy.
Check out the video, guys. If you're not in the
video's
Austin area.
on your YouTube channel. Is youtube.com/the Persona.
The Persona Music.
Persona Music. Okay.
Yeah, that's sort of. There's a couple of people out there, shakes fist at the sky. That are on Twitter, they're the Persona. They're just the Persona.
That's why you pay to get. That's why you eventually pay to get verified if you care enough.
Yeah, yeah. The Persona Music is like my online.
There's your online handle.
Just because it's like consistent and no one had that.
That's
because there are some because people just have handles, even if they're not a musician. You play games, you have a handle.
Yeah, exactly.
Surely,
yeah. It took me a while to get.
You're on Twitter, you have a handle.
Vincent404 is my default one.
I wanted to ask you, where does that come from? I don't know if I've heard this story.
I'm going to save that story for the post show.
Okay,
I'll go after the show. So that in mind, people, thank you so much for watching the show. Of course, you can catch previous podcasts at our website, CosmicRadio.TV /8BitLife. There you'll find links to show notes, previous episodes I've had him on before. In fact, we talked about his last album. Yep. And after you've bought all the music from Persona come October 31st, and you look in your pockets, you say, look, I've got $1.50 left over. Go to patreon.com /8BitLife and help the show become bigger, better, and more awesomer. So that's it for today. So next time, that's it for today. So tune in next time when I talk to another geek about something completely and utterly random. bye, people. It's almost like I've done it all this time and I screwed up right then.